I was Ethan's lackey when he confessed to the poor scholarship girl. I cheered him on when he dated her. I stood guard for them after the college entrance exam. She went abroad to chase her dreams. I became Ethan's fake girlfriend to shield him. He said, when she comes back, you'll step down. So I waited. From girlfriend to fiancée. And from fiancée to nearly becoming his wife. Finally, right before the wedding, Ethan flew abroad and brought the girl back. I took off the ring, exhaled in relief, and even kindly closed the door for them on my way out. Chapter 1. When I heard that Ethan had activated a private flight route overnight and deployed his private jet, I wasn't surprised. After all, it was Selena, my best friend. Furious, said, "You two were about to get married. Has he lost his mind?" He hadn't lost his mind. Selena is now a rising star in the design world. At the peak of her career, everyone knows, she was Ethan's first love. Even reporters once went to ask her for confirmation. Selena said, "No matter who was whose first love, everything I've achieved today is because of my own efforts. Please stop focusing on gossip and start paying attention to my work." But just last week, Selena was suddenly caught up in a plagiarism scandal. A dazzling, star-studded gown, copied from an unknown amateur. The scandal kept growing. Selena posted on social media, "Are you trying to drive me to death?" That morning, Ethan spent breakfast glued to his phone. There was a meeting scheduled about a new business partner. Ethan had casually agreed to sign the deal with my dad. But since he didn't show up, the vice president took the chance to sign it with one of his own relatives instead. My dad was furious and called me 10 times in a row to yell at me. I called Ethan. He didn't pick up. By the third call, his phone was off. When I saw Ethan again, it was 11 p.m. He told me to go to one of his vacant villas. I had never been there. The moment I walked in, I was greeted by a courtyard full of pink roses. The flowers Ethan once gave to Selena. That trunk full of roses from the day he confessed to her, so vivid in my memory. The interior design wasn't Ethan's usual minimalist style either. It must have been decorated to Selena's taste. As I got closer to the bedroom, I heard the sound of a woman sobbing. The scene looked exactly how I imagined it. A pale-faced woman sat crying on the bed, tears falling like raindrops, her wrist wrapped in gauze. A tall man stood beside her, clearly at a loss. His usually neat, tailored suit was wrinkled and disheveled, looking fashionable only because his model-worthy face carried it. I had no idea why Ethan called me there. There's express delivery. After all, when he turned and saw me, his eyes lit up a little. That look, I knew it too well. When he was almost caught by the dean while secretly meeting Selena behind the schoolyard. He looked at me the same way. Selena's shy. You take the blame for her. When he didn't know what gift to get Selena. Or when he upset her and needed advice. He always gave me that same look, hoping I'd come up with something. And I rarely did. In the end, it was always both of us getting kicked out by Selena. She'd yell at Ethan for being just another rich pretty boy. And at me for being his simp. I'd scrunch my nose and say, "Lackey, I'm just a lackey. Don't use such ugly words." That would always make Ethan laugh. But in the end, Selena still took Ethan's money. She always had dreams of becoming a designer. Back in high school, the birthday gift Ethan gave her, she insisted on working 3 months part-time to pay him back. Not like me, I accepted everything with lightning speed, wishing he'd let more cash slip between his fingers. Later, Selena messed up her college entrance exams. She ran up to the school rooftop, threatening to jump. Ethan cried and begged her to come down, saying he'd make her dreams come true. He sent Selena abroad. Ethan's family was wealthy, not exactly top tier, but far above the average household. Behind his family's back, he accessed the trust fund he was allowed to use after adulthood. He spent millions to get Selena into a prestigious university overseas. To be honest, I used to suspect Selena only got close to Ethan for the money. But then again, so did I. A simp does everything for free. A sidekick like me? At least I charge an appearance fee. Chapter 2. That year, after the scandal broke out, Ethan was beaten black and blue, then forced into an arranged marriage. Ethan's grandfather said, "The woman you marry must be from a family of equal status." But Ethan didn't want to marry anyone except Selena, so he came up with a rotten idea. He brought me to his old-fashioned grandfather's house and staged a scene, a maid accidentally walking in on the two of us exploring the mysteries of youth. He dragged me to the bed in a rush. I was completely stunned. Back then, I had just come of age, naively thinking maybe he really liked me. A few minutes later, the bedroom door slammed open, seeing a crowd of people standing there. I turned pale with fear. I scrambled to pull the blanket over myself, but the shame and humiliation of that moment couldn't compare to what he said next. With smug satisfaction, Ethan declared, "Zoe is my girlfriend. She came on to me. It was her who helped me take off my shirt. I've always been smart. If I weren't, I wouldn't be the only illegitimate child my father ever acknowledged." I instantly understood Ethan's little trick. He was using me as a shield. Not only that, he wanted to use me as a foil to highlight Selena's purity and virtue. He was saying, "Look, this is the kind of daughter raised by the so-called respectable family you admire. Barely an adult, and already doing this in front of her boyfriend's elders." And sure enough, he turned around and said matter-of-factly, "Zoe, you know who I really like. When Selena comes back, you'll leave. Don't worry. I'll make sure you're compensated." A girl's dignity is cheap, but his love story with Selena? That's priceless. So I traded my dignity for money. I nodded. Ethan was satisfied, sighing, "You're so obedient, easy to deal with." And now, it's finally time for him to deal with me. Chapter 3. No wonder Ethan transferred $5 million to me this morning. I thought he was planning to celebrate our relationship anniversary. The day after tomorrow marks our 5th anniversary. After receiving that $5 million, I even felt guilty, because I hadn't prepared anything, and I couldn't exactly send him money. Not that I was being stingy. Well, maybe a little, but mostly because he didn't need it. Still, I really couldn't bear to part with it. So I carefully picked out a Western restaurant, booked the entire place. There would even be a slideshow. I had several big projects on my plate, so I stayed up late to finish that slideshow. Right before Ethan called me to go over, I had just sent it to the restaurant. The slideshow captured all the little moments from our 5 years together. Going to college, I'd sign in for him and answer questions while he napped beside me. When the lecturer called me out, I shamelessly replied, "I'm Ethan's future wife. We're a couple, so me answering for him is basically the same." Everyone burst out laughing. Traveling together. He loved extreme sports, skydiving, advanced level skiing. His buddies were all too scared to join, but I risked my life just to accompany him. Afterwards, my legs were trembling so badly I nearly collapsed. The world was spinning, and he caught me in his arms. Living together, cohabiting. We watched TV together, went grocery shopping together, cooked together. Well, I did the cooking, he did the eating. Ethan didn't like hiring maids or housekeepers. At some point, he even started doing the dishes himself. That's where the memories end. I was just wondering if I could still cancel the reservation at the restaurant for tomorrow night, when Ethan frowned and looked at me. "Why are you just getting here, after 2 sleepless nights?" My head was spinning. Selena looked up at me. "You're Zoe?" I smiled and greeted her. She wiped away her tears and said, "Sorry you had to see me in such a mess." "And thank you. Ethan said you're really good at taking care of people." I looked at Ethan. He said it so naturally. "You'll look after her. She hasn't eaten for 2 days. Make her something. And those clothes are way too thin. Buy her a change of clothes while you're at it." He went on and on. I nodded and nodded again. I said, "All right. No problem. Got it. I'll head out now." I was being so cooperative and understanding that Ethan suddenly fell silent. I was still jotting things down on my phone, and when I noticed the silence, I looked up, puzzled. "That's it, boss." Almost called him by the wrong name. Boss was what he'd made me call him back when we had to put on a show in front of his grandfather. There were so many performances to put on that Ethan had specially approved that nickname. I got used to saying it, but now that Selena was back, if she got jealous, Ethan would probably kill me. Ethan's expression darkened a little. Since he didn't say anything more, I turned to leave. Suddenly he shouted, Zoe, stop right there. I jumped in fright. I turned back and, acting obedient, said, Boss, any other instructions? Ethan's face looked awful. His words came out between clenched teeth. You really don't have anything to ask me? Ask what? Ethan glared at me, cheeks puffed out with frustration, jaw clenched tight, like a handsome toad. I thought for a moment and asked, What's the lady's clothing size? Actually, I could already tell, probably a size S. She's thinner than she was in high school. Not sure if she's just trying to fit in with Western fashion standards. Or if life's just been hard on her. Probably both. Unlike me, well-fed, well-rested, gained 2 full sizes since then. Just over 160 centimeters tall, weighing 130 pounds. When my girlfriends tell me to lose weight, I tell them this is called prosperity. I've been poor long enough. I like the way I am now. If I slimmed down, I'd be giving male models a bargain deal. Ethan laughed, but it was a cold kind of laugh. He said, Zoe, you really are something. Aw. Thanks, boss. Chapter 4. I bought several sets of luxury ready-to-wear. From inside out, top to bottom, every item was accounted for. Then I called the restaurant. When I found out that those hundreds of thousands were non-refundable, I almost passed out. I tried to negotiate. Can't I at least get half back? Sorry. That's not possible, I said. How about this then? I won't go tomorrow night. Just make the food now and deliver it. Anything's fine. Just don't make it too random. The address is in the Eastern Villa District. Once food and clothes were handled, I checked for anything I might have missed. And sure enough, I had. When one's warm and fed, other needs arise. So I placed an order for some 001S. Guessed the size. Smallest available. Hopefully it fits. If not, it's not my fault. Ethan never showed me anyway. When I returned to the villa, Selena seemed to have cried herself to sleep. She was clutching Ethan's sleeve tightly with both eyes closed. Ethan was in the same position as when I left, hadn't moved a bit. Just as I pushed the door open, he leaned down, about to steal a kiss. Seriously? Can't even wait for her to wake up? How desperate can he be? I was so startled I forgot to announce myself. Quickly, I shut my mouth. After thinking a moment, I quietly placed the essentials on the floor inside the bedroom, then gently closed the door. Before leaving, I sent Ethan a message. Boss, the clothes and food are in the living room. You guys can come get them once you're done. While sending that, I happened to glance at our earlier messages. It was a message Ethan had sent during work hours. He was complaining about those old men at the company, then childishly begged me to go bungee jumping with him, and said he'd take me to Nice to see the sea the day after tomorrow, then to Switzerland for skiing at the end of the year to wash away work fatigue. Maybe when the future is uncertain, people like to make plans. I had replied, got it. He replied with an angry kitten sticker. I searched forever, finally sent back a patting kitten emoji, afraid he was truly mad. I added, what do you want for dinner? But judging by the timing, he'd probably just seen Selena's post and never replied again. That abruptly cut off conversation was probably the quiet signal of our relationship's end. It began in our first year of high school and ended in the second year after college graduation. I couldn't help but reflect. Ethan was overbearing, childish, self-centered, and dumb. But to be fair, he wasn't a bad person. He was generous. At the engagement party, he had a bit of wine and arrogantly said, Zoe, I'm allowing you to stay with me forever. At one point, I really thought we might actually get married. Turns out, I misunderstood. The cold, hard numbers in my bank account still managed to warm my heart. I took off the engagement ring and gently placed it on the living room table. Funny coincidence. I'd told the restaurant not to follow my original menu, just make whatever, but they'd kept the cake. It said, Ethan, happy 5th anniversary, and my engagement ring stayed right next to that cake. Chapter 5. Ethan's lips stopped just inches away from Selena's. He didn't know why, but suddenly, he didn't want to kiss her anymore. The girl he had longed for all these years was right in front of him. Ethan thought maybe it was because he respected Selena. Selena was no longer that poor scholarship student from years ago. For the past 4 years, Ethan had flown out to celebrate her birthday every single year, bringing her resources and connections, but nothing had ever happened between them. Back then, Selena had clearly told him she wasn't coming back to China. She didn't want to hold him back. Ethan had stubbornly replied, "Who said I was waiting for you? I'm already with Zoe." But Selena had just smiled and said, "With her by your side, I'm at ease. She's your simp. She'll definitely take good care of you." Ethan, even though we can't be together, I'm still the person who wishes you happiness the most in this world. Ethan's anger had completely vanished. That must be what the saddest, yet most beautiful, form of love looks like. Even if you can't be together, you still hold each other first in your hearts. Selena deserved to soar. He needed to let her be free. Selena was like a rose he had carefully nurtured with his own hands. She had struggled out of the mud with everything she had. And now she deserved to bloom gloriously before the world. He couldn't trap her by his side. All he could do was water her with gentle rain when she needed it. This was the truth he had gradually come to understand. As for the kind of woman who should remain by his side, someone greedy and materialistic like Zoe was perfect. He couldn't give her his heart, but he could give her marriage, wealth, and status. That's what marriages in elite families were like. Just like how he transferred money to her for their anniversary a few days ago. His childhood friend had told him to send $2 million as a gesture of love. But he thought that was too cheesy, totally unnecessary. Zoe wasn't even worthy of carrying Selena's shoes. She should be grateful for what she got. Thinking of Zoe made Ethan inexplicably annoyed. Even though nothing had happened between him and Selena, was Zoe not the least bit jealous? No, she must have been angry. That's why she'd called him boss on purpose. His childhood friends always teased him about Zoe's obedience. Bro, you've really got your woman under control. Not like my tigress, if I so much as glance at another girl, she flips out. If Selena comes back one day, I bet Zoe would still be willing to be the side chick. Side chick? She's more like a concubine. Ethan books a hotel and she brings the condoms. Ethan hadn't refuted any of it, because it was true. Just then, Ethan saw a message on his phone. Zoe had come and gone. He casually glanced toward the bedroom door. Suddenly, Ethan stood up in disbelief and walked over. Picking up the small box on the floor, he crushed it slightly with his grip. Zoe had even thought of this for him. This was exactly the kind of joke he and his friends used to make. But now that it had actually happened, Ethan wasn't amused at all. A wave of frustration and suffocation filled his chest. Selena woke up and saw the box in Ethan's hand. Her cheeks flushed, but there was a flash of smugness in her eyes. "Ethan, please don't do this. I only messaged you because I wanted to leave. I didn't mean anything else. I'm sorry if I gave you the wrong idea." But before she could finish, Selena saw Ethan toss the small box into the trash. Her expression froze. Ethan said, "Do I look like that much of a beast to you?" Selena quietly let out a breath of relief. So, Ethan hadn't stopped liking her, he just cherished her too much. Ethan continued, "Besides, you're heading back abroad to focus on your career. I can't hold you back." Selena's face stiffened for a second. She hesitated and said, "What if I'm not planning to go back anymore?" But Ethan cut her off before she could finish. "Don't lie to me. Don't I know you better than that? You're someone who chases dreams. You're not like those women who only want marriage and kids." Selena swallowed her words. Ethan brought in the clothes Zoe had bought. Selena glanced at them and looked uneasy. Ethan took one look at the brand and immediately understood. He sent Zoe a message. "Selena doesn't like this brand's design philosophy. She won't wear their clothes. Go buy a different set from somewhere else." Then Ethan took Selena to the dining room. Looking at the luxurious spread of Western cuisine, Selena frowned again. Ethan texted Zoe again. Selena avoids high-calorie food. She just got back and doesn't want Western food either. "Go to that Huayang place I usually visit, have them pack a full meal and bring it here." Selena, ever so understanding, said, "It's okay. I can eat this too." Ethan looked at her pale face, eyes full of concern. After a moment's thought, he sent one more message to Zoe. Selena's not doing well. I'm taking her for a short trip to the nearby mountains to clear her head. We'll be back before the anniversary. But the Zoe, who usually replied instantly, said nothing. Ethan, irritated, called her phone off. Was he blocked? Suddenly, he noticed a cake on the dining table. The words on it made him pause. Why had the anniversary cake been delivered here? A flicker of light caught his eye. It was the sparkle of a diamond. Then Ethan saw the ring placed right beside the cake. Chapter 6. The weather was clear today. Perfect for a trip. Perfect for moving out. With $5 million as my breakup compensation, I left without hesitation. I made sure Selena wouldn't see me again when she woke up. I booked myself an executive suite at a 5-star hotel and crashed the moment I arrived. Before falling asleep, I even posted a melancholic update on social media, officially announcing my breakup with Ethan. When I woke up, I realized my phone had run out of battery and shut down. Once I turned it back on, ding ding ding, dozens of message alerts came flooding in. Ethan had sent me a barrage of messages and missed calls. I skimmed through them quickly. Zoe, what's your problem? Throwing a tantrum now? Are you blaming me for asking you to take care of Selena? When I got there, she was in the bathtub with her wrists slashed. Do you not have a shred of empathy? He even attached a photo. My engagement ring, tossed in the trash, right next to the cake I had prepared for our 5-year anniversary. My gaze settled on the final message. If you've got guts, don't come back. Oh, so I'm not welcome anymore? Good, that makes 2 of us. I saw no need to return Ethan's calls, but not long after, I saw Ethan trending on social media. Selena's plagiarism scandal had gone international. Turns out, the nobody she had copied, someone named Sirius, was actually Chinese too. And just now, he had returned to China. A blurry paparazzi shot surfaced online. Black hair, green eyes, 6 feet 2 inches. So striking he didn't even look real. The photo was quickly deleted, likely due to who he was. At the height of this scandal, Ethan posted a status. Ants love to watch swans fall. Most replies were mocking, though a few CP fans slipped in, but normal people were the majority. Soon after, Sirius posted, a blind man plucked the moon from the sky, only to forget its light. So here I am, chasing the moon once again. Cryptic. No one understood it. Some guessed it wasn't even about the plagiarism. After all, he hadn't been the one to expose Selena in the first place. This post sounded more like a determined homewrecker arriving to snatch someone's girl. Did the blogger return to win back someone he loves? Even the original author liked the comment. Soon, someone dug up an old post from Sirius's account with a location tag. Same high school as Selena's. People began to speculate. Could it be that Sirius is after Selena? That he was never mad, just in love? Even CP fans rose from the ashes. All this time, he was just trying to make her see him. So the villain we hated might be part of some lover's drama after all? The comments section turned into chaos. But Sirius didn't respond again. Then, just as suddenly, Selena, who had been keeping a low profile, finally surfaced. She posted, "You can't force love. Trying to catch the moon's reflection in water only pushes it farther away." Immediately, tons of accounts started chiming in. The moon Sirius spoke of as Selena. That stolen dress? Designed for her. He accused her of plagiarism just to get her attention. He just used the wrong method to express love. And just as all that was exploding, in the hotel lobby, someone suddenly called out to me. Chapter 7. The blurry figure from my phone screen was now standing in front of me in full HD. A mixed-race face, high nose bridge, sharp jawline, broad shoulders and a trim waist. Even in a simple black t-shirt, you could vaguely see the muscle lines of his chest and abs. His arms were veiny, and his slightly wavy black hair looked like it had been styled with wax. Those long legs were particularly eye-catching. His expression was cocky, total cool guy vibes. He raised his eyebrows at me and said, "What a coincidence. You're staying here too?" After a brief pause, I blurted out in surprise, "You're..." That finely sculpted face froze for half a second. Then a look of pure joy lit up his emerald green eyes. "You still remember me? I thought you'd already forgotten." I blurted out, "You're serious?" People around us turned their heads when they heard the name. Someone even pulled out their phone and started a video call. "Babe, I'm at that hotel where you caught your best friend's boyfriend cheating. There's a guy here who looks like a celebrity. Check if you recognize him. Should I get an autograph? Serious. I quickly apologized. Sorry for the trouble. He instinctively shook his head. It's fine. As compensation, let me treat you to a meal, he said. It was kind of a hassle, and just like that, we ended up at a roadside restaurant. When the waiter asked about dietary preferences, he said, "No cilantro, extra spicy." I casually remarked, "Hey, same here. Looks like we're pretty compatible." I think he smiled a little, so that was what I thought was my first encounter with Zach. Serious. But then, maybe it was fate. I kept running into Zach. One time, near my new place, he was out for a run. Sweat traced down his sharp jawline, and he radiated pure testosterone. Another time, at the bookstore I used to frequent in high school, he was there too, dressed trendy, but with a peaceful vibe. Once, even at my company, the sales department brought in a major client, and it was him. By the 7th time we accidentally bumped into each other. I finally called him out, just before he could pretend to casually greet me again. I said, "Zach, do you like me?" As soon as the words left my mouth, his eyes widened, his pale skin flushed, starting from the neck, creeping up slowly, turning red. Chapter 8. It had been 2 months since I last saw Ethan. During those 2 months, Zach remained completely silent online, and Selena successfully redeemed her image. But the internet sees everything. Someone caught Selena and Ethan on vacation together. A mountain resort, an open-air swimming pool, a classic romantic getaway. A man was leering at Selena in her sexy swimsuit. The next second, Ethan started brawling with him. That was a side of him I had never seen, protective, fierce. Back when his friends mocked and belittled me, he didn't even say a single word in my defense. A hotel staff member came over and apologized. "So sorry for the unpleasant experience you and your wife had." Ethan didn't correct him. Just as I finished watching the video, Ethan called. I hesitated for 2 seconds, then picked up. "Zoe, was it you who tattled to my grandfather? You're really something. Since when did you start snitching?" The videos were all over the internet. And he still thought it was me who spilled the tea? Ethan's grandfather had never liked Selena. All these years, I had always been dutiful and respectful. Ethan's grandfather treated me really well, even better than my own family. Ethan said, "The day after tomorrow, our major client, the Mario family, is hosting a banquet. Grandpa will be attending. You must be my date and explain everything to him. If he gives Selena a hard time, I won't let you off." The Mario family, absolute elite. Their sudden banquet announcement stirred quite the buzz. Rumor has it, the head of the Mario family, who never had children, was finally going to announce his heir. I replied, "Boss, we're over." There was a brief pause on Ethan's end. Then came the fury. "Zoe, you don't get to decide that. When Selena leaves, everything will go back to how it was. I'm just spending time with her temporarily. What right do you have to throw a tantrum? Zoe, did you forget your place?" How could I? All these years, I never once forgot, not even for a second. Memories came rushing back, years ago. Chapter 9. My mother was the most foolish mistress. She didn't want money, only love. After being abandoned, she committed suicide. I became the bastard the neighbors whispered about, living with my grandmother. The year my grandmother died, my uncle took all the inheritance, and I lived in his basement. The second time he drunkenly tried to break down my door, I ran out into the night, while picking leftovers at a fast food restaurant. I met Ethan. He ordered 2 burgers. When he left, one of them remained untouched, still in its wrapper. I finally made it to the start of the school year and could move into the dorms, wearing faded, worn-out clothes. I stood before Ethan and said, "Ethan, can I follow you?" There were waves of laughter. But maybe I looked too pitiful, or maybe he just didn't care. Ethan didn't say no. I buried my secret feelings deep in my heart. Just like that, I became Ethan's sidekick. If he said east, I never went west. If he said 1, I never said 2. Eventually, my family acknowledged me again, though there was no real affection. At least I no longer feared sleeping on the streets. Everything seemed to be improving, until Selena appeared. She came to ask Ethan for 200,000 yuan for a study abroad trip. She said, "Hello, you probably don't know me. I'm not like the rich kids around here. I come from a modest background, but I believe, since I've made it here on my own, I deserve a chance to get to know you. This money, I'm borrowing it. I'll pay you back once I start working." A very unique introduction. I saw Selena reflected in Ethan's eyes. There was no one else. He was smitten on the spot. Later, Ethan confessed his love to her. Selena said, "Ethan, I won't date a guy who has female friends." Ethan looked at me and said, "Zoe? She's just my dog." I stood there in humiliation, holding the guitar I had brought to accompany his confession, forcing a smile as if it didn't bother me. That sentence spread across campus. When people saw me, they would make exaggerated tut-tut sounds. Late at night, I sat dazed in the woods behind school. It was there that I met a boy. He seemed like he wanted to say something, but as he walked over, he tripped over his own feet and face-planted. He even rolled twice. I helped him up. He stared at me, dazed, nose bleeding. He said, "Senior, your Moonlight Sonata was beautiful." He started showing up a lot. He watched the stars with me, chatted about everything, from the cosmos to food preferences. We shared a long, secret friendship, but one day, he disappeared. I later heard a wealthy freshman had left school suddenly after his parents divorced. He transferred abroad with his mother, a famous designer. All the arrangements were made by her assistant. Now that I think about it, that boy might just have been Zach. Meanwhile, Ethan was still raging on the phone. "Zoe, are you deaf? I'll say this one last time, if you don't show up the day after tomorrow, don't ever show up again." Just as I was about to speak, I suddenly heard Selena's soft voice in the background. "Can you come help me with my zipper?" Ethan hung up the phone directly. I didn't even get the chance to tell him I already have a boyfriend. That day, when I asked that question, Zach admitted it without hesitation. So I was the moon all along. He stared at me without blinking, waiting for my response, just like a puppy behind a pet shop window, waiting for its owner to come. Back then, I had no money and could only watch with regret. But now, I have the means to pursue love, and I want to give it a try. That starry, shimmering dress now hangs in my wardrobe. In the kitchen, Zach is cooking, wearing a tank top and an apron. His muscles are well defined, the apron stretched tightly over them. He looks absolutely delicious. When he sees me, he says, "Still a while before it's ready. Go watch some TV first." I laugh and say, "Why don't you call me senpai anymore?" That's it. His face turns red again, like a boiled shrimp. But even while blushing, this man kisses me into a complete mess. Chapter 10. Ethan sent me a picture of the invitation. It said, "Mr. Ethan and one guest." Ethan said, "Selena needs to meet some new connections. I'll take her in first. You wait outside. There's bound to be someone you know who can take you in later." It's not like I had to go. Although for me, it was a good opportunity to expand my own network, and I could have apologized to Ethan's grandfather face to face. He's treated me very well over the years. My position in the family business, being able to stand my ground against my half-brother, was thanks to the identity of Ethan's fiancée, but more than that, it was due to his grandfather's unwavering support. But on the day of the banquet, Zach suddenly gave me a new invitation, with my full name on it, neatly handwritten. He even took out the starry dress. He said, "I want to see you wear it there." I don't know how he got the invitation. Just before we were about to leave, Zach was still jealous. Even after I reassured him again and again that I wouldn't even speak to Ethan, he still kept me busy for quite a while. He never took that final step. But even where we are now, I already can't get enough of him. When I invited him to come with me, he shook his head and said seriously, "Let's wait until we're married." I said I was fine with doing it before marriage. Zach replied solemnly, "I'm not. I'm afraid that once you get me, you'll toss me aside." While all that was going on, Ethan's messages kept coming. Why aren't you here yet? His calls kept ringing, one after another. Zach still had no intention of stopping. So between my pleas, I asked, "Are you really not coming with me?" I could bring one guest. After all, Zach just gave a mischievous smirk but didn't answer. By the time I got in the car, my legs were still trembling. At the entrance of the banquet hall, I saw Ethan and Selena, wrapped in Ethan's suit jacket. When Ethan saw me, his expression was complicated: surprise, anger, and a bit of smug satisfaction. "I knew you couldn't give up the position of my wife," he said, hanging up on me. "We'll settle that after this is over." Selena smiled and said, "Zoe, you finally came. We've been waiting for you." Before she finished, her gaze landed on my dress and froze for a second. I ignored them and walked straight to the entrance. Ethan called from behind, "You won't get in. The Mario family is known for strict security. Just wait out here like a good girl." The villa was halfway up the mountain, surrounded by woods. It was cold, and the night wind was biting. If I really stood outside, I'd definitely catch a cold. Seeing me ignore him, Ethan got annoyed. "Zoe, don't embarrass yourself." He stepped in front of me. "I told you to wait outside." "So wait." I kept walking and brushed past him. His face turned ugly. "Fine. If you want to make a fool of yourself, don't say I didn't warn you." He said it loudly, enough to attract attention. Selena chimed in with a gentle tone. "Yeah, Zoe, you're the future Mrs. CEO. Acting like this is only embarrassing Ethan. If you really want to go in, let Ethan take you in first. I don't mind waiting a little." Without even thinking, Ethan snapped. "No, you don't know anyone here anyway, and you're just recovering. I can't let you wait outside." So he did know it was cold out here. Ethan looked at me and said, "Selena caught a chill just now waiting for you. You should apologize to her." I let out a cold laugh and walked straight toward the banquet hall entrance. Ethan came over and grabbed my wrist. "Stop right there." I shook off his hand. In the struggle, my shawl slipped off. Ethan's eyes widened as he stared at my back, suddenly falling silent. Before I could understand what was going on, Selena let out a gasp. "Zoe, you already have a fiancé, and yet you're this indecent?" She said it loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, and then I understood. That was Zach's masterpiece from earlier. Ethan stood frozen for a moment. Selena's eyes darted around, and she suddenly acted as if she had an epiphany. "This was your little trick, wasn't it? Just to spite Ethan and get your friend to do this? You've always loved these petty schemes, even in high school, just to get Ethan's attention." Ethan's expression slowly returned to normal. He looked at me with contempt, as if he had seen right through me. Throwing away a promising career just to play these childish games for attention. "Heh, whatever. Go ahead and embarrass yourself. I won't stop you." I pulled my shawl back up and walked away, not bothering to explain anything. Ethan crossed his arms, watching me coldly. Finally, I reached the banquet hall entrance. As expected, the security guards stopped me. From behind, I heard Ethan's mocking laugh. "Told you to wait outside. But no, you wouldn't listen." He hadn't even finished his sentence when I pulled an invitation out of my purse. Chapter 11. Zoe must have gotten the invitation from a friend. Selena looked at me accusingly. "How could you toy with Ethan like this? After everything he's done for you." Ethan's lips were tightly pressed together, clearly unhappy. He followed behind me with Selena as I walked in. He wanted to say something else but paused when he saw me heading straight for Grandpa. Quickly, he hurried to catch up, afraid I might say something to his grandfather. Just as I was about to speak, Ethan quickly cut in, trying to please him. "Grandpa, this is Selena, Zoe's good friend. She's now a well-known designer, very talented. A while back, it was Zoe who invited her over as a guest." Selena sweetly greeted Grandpa, but Grandpa didn't even acknowledge them. I had already gone to see Grandpa before the event and told him about my breakup with Ethan. Without even sparing a glance at Selena and Ethan, he simply chatted casually with me. Selena and Ethan stood to the side, visibly awkward. Ethan looked at me with clear disapproval, as if blaming me for not helping him cover up his lies. Suddenly, Grandpa changed the subject. "I have an old friend whose son is also single. Good character. If you're willing. Once the Mario family announces their successor, I'll introduce you. Ethan couldn't believe what he was hearing. Grandpa, what are you talking about? Who introduces a match for their own granddaughter-in-law? Grandpa ignored him. Ethan sensed something was off. Selena spoke coldly. Zoe is just as good at charming men as she was in high school. Now even Grandpa's on your side. Grandpa remained silent, unable to bear how coldly Selena was being treated. Ethan stormed off with her in tow, which meant he didn't hear my response. I said, "Thank you, Grandpa, but I already have a boyfriend." I showed him a photo of Zach and me together. Grandpa suddenly smiled, nodding meaningfully. Very good. Looks like I won't need to introduce anyone after all. After Grandpa left, I casually found a place to sit. Then he came over, my so-called father, with an ugly expression on his face. He demanded, "What's going on between you and Ethan?" Ethan had been parading Selena around, and many people were laughing at the spectacle. In high society, it's common for couples to have affairs, but rarely does someone bring a lover to such a formal event. I smiled faintly. What do you think happened? We broke up. He gasped sharply. Useless thing. Forget it. I knew you were a failure. Later I'll introduce you to another businessman. I glanced in that direction. An old man. I didn't agree. Before he could say anything else, the Mario family's host came out to speak. This banquet really was to announce the heir to the Mario family. It was Mario's biological son, the one who had gone abroad with his ex-wife. The spotlight turned on. Zach walked onto the stage. He was wearing a perfectly tailored suit, and his black hair was slicked back. His sculpted face was expressionless. He looked cold and authoritative, nothing like the man who had been kneeling in front of me just a few hours ago. Pouting and teasing, the entire room held its breath. Zach spotted me right away. He winked and smiled. Another round of gasps echoed through the hall. After the Mario family announced their successor, many people began stirring, eager to introduce their daughters. I didn't even notice Ethan had walked up to me. Not until he spoke. Stop staring. Don't tell me you're still hoping Grandpa will set you up with their heir? Come on. Don't push your luck. Just because Grandpa favors you doesn't mean you can keep testing my patience. Ethan didn't realize that from the moment he stood next to me. Zach had been glancing this way, visibly displeased. I couldn't help but laugh. He was the one who wrote this whole script. Yet now he was jealous? Ethan saw me smiling at Zach and sensed something. A flash of jealousy appeared in his eyes. Forget it, he said. Someone just tried to introduce their daughter to him, and he said he already has a girlfriend and plans to marry her. Don't take Grandpa's joke seriously. All right. Stop being mad at me. Selena isn't like you. She doesn't want to marry me. Don't be so petty. You should apologize to her later. You've been making her uncomfortable lately. I smiled. How do you know she doesn't want to marry you? Ethan might not have understood, but I could see it clearly. From the very first moment I saw Selena again, I knew exactly what she was after. The way she looked at me, disdainful, yet condescending, was laced with unmistakable hostility and jealousy. If her career was really thriving, why hadn't she returned abroad all this time? Only someone like Ethan would believe her. Growing annoyed, Ethan said, "Stop being unreasonable. I already told you, she has her own career. She won't marry me, and I won't marry her. Besides, if I did marry her, what would you do then? Stop making a scene. This isn't the place. This is the Mario family's event. We can't afford to offend them." Ethan kept rambling on. Zach had finally had enough. He lifted a foot and started walking toward me. Chapter 12. When Ethan said that, he didn't notice that Selena was right beside him. She heard him say, loud and clear, that he would never marry her. She looked at Ethan, then turned her gaze toward Zach. She took a deep breath, as if steeling herself, and walked straight toward Zach. Ethan finally noticed Selena. Selena stood in Zach's path. It seemed she didn't realize Zach was the very designer she had plagiarized. She gave him a confident smile. "Hello. You probably don't know me. I'm a designer. Unlike all the rich and powerful people here, I come from a modest background. But I think, since I was able to make it here on my own, I deserve the chance to get to know you." The exact same lines she once used. Selena might have forgotten, But Ethan remembered. After all, that was the moment he fell for her at first sight. Ethan's expression at this moment was quite something. Her persona, her performance, full of holes. Ethan wasn't stupid. It's just that when he met Selena, he was too young, and her carefully crafted image had already embedded itself in his subconscious. But once suspicion takes root, everything from the past becomes evidence. Ethan stood there in a daze. That stubborn, seemingly sincere girl now had ambition glowing in her eyes. She believed that her uniqueness would attract the heir to a top-tier family. Even if he only showed a trace of interest, she'd win. But unfortunately for her, Zach only gave her a brief glance and said, "Oh, I almost forgot about you." Selena froze. "I'll have my lawyer file a lawsuit against you for copyright infringement." Selena's face went blank. It took her a few seconds to realize what had just been said. Your panic surged through her. She instinctively looked toward Ethan. After all, he always helped her. From that several $100,000 study abroad fund, to all the resources he later sent her. He even used a private jet to bring her back at her lowest point. Her luxury apartment abroad, bought by Ethan. Selena hadn't realized that while she kept saying she made it on her own, she had already become a parasitic vine wrapped tightly around Ethan. But this time Ethan looked away, even when Zach, in front of everyone, had the bodyguards escort her out. Ethan said nothing. He was still processing the collapse of his goddess, but he recovered quickly. Then he looked at me and said, "Zoe, do you think I'm an idiot?" I nodded. Ethan choked for a second. Then he continued, "So much for young love, it always rots eventually. But it's okay. You're still here for me. Let's get back together. We'll register our marriage soon, just like you always wanted." As he spoke, Zach stepped in front of me. He wrapped his arm around my shoulders and kissed my forehead. Then he looked at Ethan and said with a smile, "Your true love may have rotted, but mine hasn't. If you marry her, what am I supposed to do?" In that moment, the entire banquet hall fell silent. Chapter 13. Under Ethan's trembling gaze, Zach raised a smug smile and raised his voice. "Let me introduce my future wife." Everyone was dumbfounded, even his own father, who clearly had no idea this was coming. Zach, no surprise, had a bit of a romantic streak. He was a dress designer after all. This whole performance. If you haven't read a few overly dramatic romance novels, you wouldn't be able to script it. The only person still able to laugh at this point was Zach himself. Oh, and my father. He was grinning so wide it looked like his mouth might split. He immediately ditched the old man he'd been sucking up to and walked proudly in my direction. But before he could reach me, a bodyguard stopped him. Mario stepped in front of me. At first, he had planned to be upset with Zach or at least give me a hard time. But to everyone's surprise, he said, "So, you're the girl who made him so lovesick back then he refused to go abroad with his mom?" Zach, now nearly 6 feet 3 inches, awkwardly rubbed his nose. "Let's not bring up ancient history, okay?" When Zach and I were leaving, I thought I heard Ethan shouting. Through the rearview mirror, I saw him break free from the guards and chase after the car for a long while. That night, my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. I had already blocked Ethan, but he kept calling me from different numbers. When I ignored his calls, he started bombarding me with texts. "Have you been planning to leave me this whole time?" Looks like he figured it out. I had simply realized, before he did, that his true love had already rotted. "When did you start seeing that bastard? He definitely didn't tell you who he really was." "That's deception." "I didn't think so. It's not like Zach pretended to be poor to scam me. He just took his mother's last name, and didn't explain who his estranged father was." Later on, Ethan texted, "Come back. I won't hold anything against you. Zoe, you loved me, remember?" I realized it. "I love you too. We felt the same way. We can start over." I sent him a message. "Every time you message me, Zach and I will hook up again." Ethan finally went quiet. Zach, however, stiffened immediately. Over the next few days, I noticed he was working out constantly. I thought I might run into Ethan again, but I didn't. Ethan's grandfather told me not to worry. He had sent Ethan to Africa for training. Honestly, Ethan did need training. All he had was the bossy part of being a CEO, none of the actual ability. Let's see if, after training, he could still get a word in at his own company. Ever since Grandpa retired, the whole company had become factions fighting for control. Then came a great day. Zach and I got our marriage certificate. Right afterward, I dragged him straight to a hotel. He was nervous the whole way. You can't return me even if I perform badly, okay? You know, first times are usually not great. Don't believe what those novels say. No one actually does it 7 times a night. I spotted a strip of pills and a spray bottle in his pocket. I just nodded casually. He whined. So you really just want me for my body? I tried to prove him wrong. I skipped a really important meeting today just to marry you. Actually, I had sent one of my dad's other illegitimate daughters to attend the meeting for me. I trust her. Ethan thought I had no career and was just slacking at the family company. What he didn't know was, my career was taking over that company, and I was close to succeeding. I flung open the hotel room door excitedly and dragged Zach inside. We didn't come out for several days. Every time I touched the doorknob, he'd pull me right back in. Truly, it was despair-inducing.